Hello, learning designers. Welcome to the Learning Design Summit. This is the platform where expert leaders and practitioners from different industries come together to share their secret sauce so that all of us in the learning design domain can learn from it and further our skills and career. I am very excited to have with us Surya Prakash Mohapatra with us. Surya has more than 20 years of experience in the L&D domain. He was recognized as top 25 most talented L&D professionals in the world by World HRD Congress in 2014. And Surya currently leads the global transformation efforts at Wipro. Surya, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Aman. Thank you for this opportunity.
Fantastic. Surya, having somebody like you on our show is very, very important because, you have seen the industry grow in the last 20 years from where it was, from the great old OHP slides to where we are going today to all everything app, AI. So what is your feel in terms of how the industry has evolved? Has it evolved enough or what is your feel on that?
The industry has evolved a great deal. And what's phenomenal about this evolution is the pace at which this evolution is happening. So I think it took about 300 years for man to invent the wheel. But today, if you look at Apple computers, they probably bring out a new model of iPhone every year. So the pace at which change is happening is phenomenal. It is accelerated pace. And I think L&D has a big challenge to keep pace with, to keep up with this pace of evolution.
Fantastic. So, Surya, in your current role, you're constantly, surrounded by the vision of the future, the marketscape, what competition is doing, and where your company needs to be. I'm sure it's a very, very stressful situation. By the way of constantly imagining the future, reimagining the workforce, the skills they bring to the table, and things like that. So, in your topic today, which you've chosen to speak about the latest industry trends, give us a little bit of dope around why do you think the L&D leadership today needs to pay attention to what you're going to talk about?
All right. So we talked about the change, we talked about the disruption, and we also talked about the pace at which change is happening. So it's time for L&D practitioners to take note of the change. And now, since change has really picked up pace and customer expectations are evolving, business leaders, their expectations from L&D are evolving. And then we have the new age learners who have different tastes and preferences, likes and dislikes about learning. So we are actually moving towards a new world. And L&D has to really imagine the new world, understand what it is going to be, and then reimagine their role. And that's the need of the hour. And that's why my session today is all about that. It's reimagining L&D for the new world. So that's why we are here today.
Fantastic, Surya. Very, very excited. With your permission, I will bring on the slides to the stage. All right. Surya, here you go. Tell us a little bit about the role that you play at Wipro with the talent transformation and that also leading from a digital operations and platforms perspective. How is that role helping you, make a change in the business?
Well, it's a very strategic role. And in my organization, we understand and realize the importance of talent transformation, importance of learning and development as a function. We know that if we have to remain in the leading position in the market, then we need to build capability for today and tomorrow. So the talent transformation leader's role becomes extremely critical because this position, this role, and the entire function are primarily responsible for building capability for today and tomorrow. So in that sense, the role is very strategic. It's not a mere support function or enabling function. I look at my role and the role of my function as very critical for the organization, and we consider ourselves to be part of the business.
Fantastic. So, Surya, we are all waiting to hear from you. How are you seeing the world, and how are you seeing the L&D involved? With your permission, I will bring on the content slide. So, walk us through what your perspective is on how L&D is evolving and what the top industry trends are.
All right. So thank you very much. So we'll get going. So as you know, we are going to talk about today how can L&D reimagine itself and prepare itself for the new world. So as all of us know that we are going through times of accelerated change, and especially as we engage in a dialogue today, we know that we are really experiencing unprecedented times. So let's talk about what's happening all around us. Let's talk about some top industry trends. So here are a few trends that I'm going to quickly bring up to your attention. Um, Today, we see a higher frequency of black swan events. Black swan events are events which are very rare. That events that occur in the times of history, very rarely. Probably we see them once in a century. But today, the frequency of the occurrence of black swan events has increased. In the last century, in the current century, we have already seen about three black swan events. If you talk about the 9/11 incident, if you talk about Brexit, if you talk about COVID-19, what we are really experiencing today, the unprecedented lockdown across the globe. So events, black swan events, which have got very widespread ramifications and largely negative implications on societies, businesses, industries, etc., are occurring more frequently today. These are times of hyper digitization, automation, robotics, technology. They're all disrupting our personal, social lives, professional lives, and business as well as industry. Innovation and creative destruction of industries and products is a phenomenon that we are seeing, we have been seeing for the last few decades. So many of you would know that the Fortune 500 companies who featured in that list in the year 1955, almost 90% of them are not in business today, or they may be in business today, but they're not in the Fortune 500 list anymore. So competition has come in, new players have come in with a lot of innovative ideas, new products, new solutions, and there has been creative destruction of organizations and products. Customer expectation is to find the products and solution at a faster, better, and in a cheaper quality. I'm sorry. Today, customer expects that the service provider is able to meet their needs faster, better, and cheaper. So customer expectations are evolving constantly. We see accelerated market evolutions. Markets are evolving all the time. Decreasing product life cycle. We talked about it a little while ago when we say, when I said that we took about 300 years to kind of invent the wheel, and then today we see a new smartphone getting launched in the marketplace almost every other day. So at the same time, we are also seeing rise in globalization and localization. So typically, many call it glocalization, where you see a blend of both. And today, we are also seeing moral capitalism on the rise. So while the capitalistic organizations do exist, but they also want to demonstrate their social purpose, now they are really very sincerely and very consciously thinking about their responsibilities towards the society, towards the environment, and so on. So these are some of the very interesting trends that we are seeing in the industry today. Let's talk about what's happening at the workplace. What's happening to work itself. And what's happening to the workforce? Gig economy has become the reality. You know, today we are seeing contract employees, contingent workers, part-time workers, freelancers. We are seeing people, professionals working for multiple organizations at the same time. Distributed working has become a reality. COVID-19 actually has accelerated that. So we see people are working today almost from anywhere, from their homes, from offices, from distributed offices, from airports, from the doctor's clinic, from the coffee shop, virtually from anywhere. Flexible pay structure is becoming a reality slowly. So it's more like, pay for work, which is gaining popularity. Millennials at the workplace, their number is increasing steadily. By 2025, we may have about 75% of the workforce as millennials. Another interesting development that we are seeing is that organizations today are recognizing skills over qualification. There are about 15 leading organizations who have announced that they're not going to look at qualification as a selection criteria while hiring professionals into their organization. We are, of course, seeing massive job losses due to automation. We are also going to see coexistence of men and machines at the workplace. So automation means machines taking over work. So we would see possibly men and machines coexisting. And if you imagine, if this is our wild imagination, we also might see that tomorrow we might end up reporting to a manager who could be a machine. That well could become a reality in the near future. Well, we see unemployment on one hand because automation is taking away jobs. At the same time, you're going to see unfilled jobs on the other hand, primarily because there are new technologies which are emerging, which require new skills. They require niche skill set, and there is a lack of such skills. So on one hand, we see massive unemployment. On the other hand, we have started seeing scarcity of talent. But interestingly, the talent war is over. The winner is talent, not corporations, not enterprises. So these are interesting trends that we are seeing at the workplace. Now let's talk about, in the context of the changes that we are talking about, the trends that we are seeing, what are the opportunities for L&D? What opportunities these changes present to L&D? So here are the opportunities that we can think of. Today, because of the rapid change, the accelerated pace at which change is happening, organizations need to transform themselves all the time. Organizations which can change faster than competition will actually survive, and then they will thrive. So organizations need to be always ahead of the curve. They need to become resilient. So black swan events like 9/11, COVID-19 would actually knock them down, but they need to bounce back. They need to become resilient. They need to stand up and then keep moving. Organizations need to come up with new business models. If they have to survive, they have to look at their organization structure, their go-to-market strategy, their business models. They need to prepare themselves for the new world. They need to prepare their workforce to innovate. They need to prepare their workforce for the new world. They need to prepare their workforce for distributed work environment. They need to prepare the managers, the leaders to lead in the new world. Interestingly, as we talked about automation, etc., there are predictions that about 375 million workers may have to switch to different occupation categories because of automation, because of robotics, because of artificial intelligence. They probably would lose their jobs. They'll have to find new jobs, and they may actually switch to new occupational categories. The bottom line is organizations need to upskill, reskill, and cross-skill their workforce all the time. So this is a tremendous opportunity for L&D. Now, Here are the top skills for future of work. The World Economic Forum, they have highlighted these top skills which are essential for the future of work. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, judgment and decision making, service orientation, negotiation skills, cognitive flexibility. These are the top skills which are essential for future of work. This is basis the study made by the World Economic Forum, and the message is very clear. So, but these new skills would obviously mean new opportunities for L&D. But at the same time, there are also challenges for L&D. So the opportunities are also in a way challenges for L&D. So let's talk about the new skills we just discussed. L&D need to prepare the workforce in organizations for skills required for the future. The challenge is if L&D moves slowly about building the skills, this is going to impact business negatively. But if they're moving very fast, this might confuse people. The people would say, well, you need to prepare me for today. You need to, I don't need the skills today. Prepare me, get me ready for the skills that I need today. But if we emphasize on the future skills, the workforce, the people in the organizations may just get confused. So that's the challenge. How do we get the balancing act? Another interesting challenge that L&D is facing today, organizations have increased the spend on technology. The investment on technology has increased almost by 60%. And CEOs in organizations believe that if they need to succeed, they need to invest in new technologies. They also need to get their people ready to embrace the new technologies. But unfortunately, 3% of CEOs have confirmed that they have significantly increased their spending on L&D. So while the spend on technology has increased, a corresponding increase in learning budgets has not happened. That's a challenge for L&D. Unfortunately, L&D is still caught up in the past. It needs to reinvent. This is a big challenge for L&D function. Another challenge is the attention span of learners is decreasing. There are various studies which say the attention span of the learner today is less than 7 minutes. There are some other schools of thought which say it's much lesser than 7 minutes. But nevertheless, the fact of the matter is attention span of the learners is increasing. They're not ready to sit in the classroom for hours together or days together. So that's a big challenge for L&D. Knowledge is fast becoming obsolete. The knowledge that we acquired in our universities, we don't use them today. The knowledge that we use today may not be relevant tomorrow. The knowledge we'll need 10 years from now, or maybe even 5 years from now, probably does not exist today. So it's very fast. It is getting obsolete very, very quickly. That's a challenge for L&D to keep pace with the pace at which knowledge is evolving. And interestingly, there is another development, which is also a kind of a challenge, is the fact that a new age learner is emerging. Millennials are going to dominate the workforce, and the way they learn, their learning preferences, their tastes are very different. So that is also a challenge. It's time for L&D to reflect on that. Now let's talk about the new age learner. Let's spend about a couple of minutes. The expectations of the new age learner is very different from learners in the past. The new age learner, the millennial learner, has few expectations from the L&D function. And here are the expectations. Can learning be personalized for me? That's what the new age learner expects. The new age learner expects learning which is personalized to the needs of the individual. So it doesn't matter who else is in the classroom, who else is in the same group. Uh, but if learning curriculum is very standardized or generic for everybody, then it may not be very interesting for me. So can this be personalized? Can this be made personalized for me to my needs? Can the learning curriculum adapt to my pace? So if I'm a quick learner, can the learning management system keep pushing more content? If I'm a slow learner, can the curriculum move at my pace? Allow me to learn slowly if I want to or if I need to. Can I access learning anytime, anywhere, at any place, seamlessly? Can learning be fun and engaging for me? Can content find me? This is interesting. Today, when you switch on your smartphone, there are lots of notifications that keep popping up, and the notifications tell you that there are 10 WhatsApp messages, there is an email waiting for you, there's a message on your Facebook account, there are some messages on your LinkedIn account, and so on. Now, the new age learner is saying, can relevant content find me and then come to me, and then can I get notified that basis my role, my aspiration for future, this content is relevant for me? Can content really find me? Can learning move to my workplace? I really cannot step out of my workplace, be in the classroom for 2 days or 3 days. It may be difficult for me to log into a webinar. It may be difficult for me to log into the LMS and go through e-learning modules, etc. But can learning move to my workplace? Can learning move to the platform where I'm working on? So that's a pretty interesting expectation. My attention span is very short. How can you help me? We talked about it. Can I be involved in the learning, design, and development process? That's what the new age learner is very clearly expecting. He or she is expecting that L&D practitioners, the learning designers, need to involve them in the learning design process. They definitely want to become co-creators of the learning curriculum, learning content. They do not want to be at the receiving end of the learning curriculum that we design, but they want to be partners in designing learning curriculum. That's a pretty interesting development, pretty interesting expectation from the new age learners. So the expectations of the new age learners, their preferences are different. They are changing, they're evolving. It's a challenge for L&D. But my dear friends, this is also an opportunity for L&D. So we mentioned that the opportunities are challenges, and the challenges are also opportunities. It's an opportunity for L&D to make this possible. It's an opportunity for L&D to look at these problems and then create opportunities, convert these challenges and problems into opportunities. For L&D to be able to do that, L&D has to reimagine. L&D has to reimagine itself. It has to reimagine the way it works. It has to reimagine its processes. So let's talk about this reimagination over the next few minutes. I think it all begins by reimagining your stakeholders. I think this is where the paradigm shift has to happen. This is where the mindset shift has to happen. In the past, the stakeholders for L&D were the organization and the workforce. So L&D was preparing the workforce, building their capability so that they can contribute to the needs of the organization. They can contribute to the business priorities and business objectives. So that was very simple. They were the stakeholders in the past. But now we need to reimagine our stakeholders. Our stakeholders, of course, organization and employees continue to be our stakeholders. But there are a few more stakeholders whom we also need to look at. So today, if you look at your list of stakeholders, you would find quite a few entities there. Organization and employees, of course, but your customers, the customers of the organization, the investors, the partners, academia, the family members of your employees, the community at large. L&D needs to think about all the stakeholders. It's not good enough to think about only the business and the workforce. Of course, we need to think about them, but we also need to think about the customers. Are the L&D interventions also meeting the needs of your customers? Are you taking care of the needs of the investors, the partners, the suppliers? Are you partnering with academia, with educational institutions, with universities? Are you engaging in a partnership where you actually jointly work together in building capability and skills for the future? Are you really looking after? Are you thinking about the extended family, the family members of your workforce, and how is L&D responsible for the community? We really need to look at all the stakeholders. This is the very first step in reimagining our function. So now that we know that we have a good number of stakeholders that we need to look at, the next question is, how do we reimagine our role? How is our role going to change in the new world? Let's do a comparison between the old and the new, and we'll have to really reimagine our role. In the past, we were L&D leaders, L&D managers, but today and tomorrow, we need to be performance consultants. We need to understand the needs of the business, needs of our customers, needs of our stakeholders, and we need to prepare a workforce to be able to deliver to the needs of our businesses, our customers, our stakeholders. So we need to work on business issues and problems. We need to work on performance gaps. We need to work on behavioral gaps. We need to understand the needs, the capability requirement for the future, understand the talent gap, and we need to bridge the gap. And we can do that if you become performance consultants. That's a very big transition as we talk about the new world. This is how we have to reimagine our role. What else we need to reimagine when it comes to our role? Well, in the past, we were all members of the corporate L&D function or the business L&D function, or we are part of the training team or the learning team. But the learning function has to function like a startup, has to function like a business unit. And every member of the L&D team needs to believe that they're part of a startup team. They're part of a startup organization. No matter how big that organization is, they have to believe that they're part of a startup. The L&D function has to become a lean, mean, and fighting machine. You have to become lean. You have to manage costs, but you have to optimize the outcomes. So that's what a startup does, isn't it? The startup is very clearly aligned to the priorities of the customers. The startup takes accountability, takes ownership of creating outcomes which generate value for their stakeholders. Startups deliver ROI, return on investment. So it's important that the L&D leaders and members of the L&D team need to believe that they're part of a startup team. From content developers, we'll have to reimagine ourselves as content curators. From content designers, we'll have to look at ourselves as designers of learner experience. That's an important one. Our role is not just to create content. Our role is to design the learner experience, which will drive engagement, which will drive fun, engagement, which will keep the learner glued to the content that we have created. So experience becomes extremely vital in the new scheme of things. We used to look at ourselves as trainers, teachers, instructors, but we'll have to reimagine ourselves as facilitators. We can't become experts in every subject. We cannot be we cannot be a subject matter expert on everything, but we can become facilitators. We can become facilitators of interactions between people, between employees. We need to bring people and people together, and we need to enable people to evolve new body of knowledge. So that's how L&D has to reimagine its role. Now let's talk about how do we reimagine our deployment of our solutions, deployment of the learning interventions, the curriculum that we design. So if we go through the entire learning cycle, which essentially begins with analysis of needs, traditionally we were experts in TNI, training needs identification. But from TNI, we really have to reimagine shifting to BNI. BNI is nothing but business needs identification. So we were good at identifying training needs, but now we need to get better at identifying business needs, understanding the needs of the business, the priorities of the business, needs of our customer, strategic priorities of our customers. We need to get better at that so that we can really come up with effective learning solutions which can address business needs, which is important. So that's a very important part in our deployment strategy, that we must switch from TNI to BNI. In the past, we used to come up with defined, structured learning path, curriculum, formal structure, all of that. But we'll really have to reimagine a future which is not just defined, which is not necessarily defined in structure, but it is all about creating a culture of continuous learning where content can evolve. It's not stereotyped. It's not cast in iron. It could possibly evolve as we enable people to move through the learning journey. Our deployment strategy would be shifting from teaching skills to teaching effective learning habits. People have understood the importance of learning, and they know that if they have to survive and thrive, they have to learn. People are going to learn anyway. All we need to do is we need to accelerate that by helping them build teaching habits. While people understand the importance of learning, many actually may not be in the groove. They may not really be used to making learning a habit. I think we can enable people to build or inculcate learning habits, which will actually exponentially enhance the learning effectiveness and the learning engagement. Because if people understand and then engage themselves in the learning process voluntarily with self-motivation, that could be a game changer. Our strategy from defined set content, we need to reimagine our deployment as dynamic content which constantly keeps evolving. Our deployment strategy should switch from organizing training events to facilitating learning journeys which actually would be a blend of experiential learning, network learning, peer-to-peer learning, social learning, formal learning, self-paced learning, and all of that. So we need to really engage our learners in learning journeys where they would not just pick up vital skills, they would also have ample opportunities to apply the skills. That's important, that's crucial. From information silos, we actually need to connected information. We need to move to a network of learners where information is connected, where people are connected with people, where content is connected with more additional content, where people are connected with content is connected with people. So we need to build that network. We need to bring people and people together, content and content together, people and content together, content and people together. And that's how we'll have to reimagine our deployment strategy. But for us to do all of this, we also need to prepare ourselves. We need to up the game. We need to step up the game. We need to build our own capability. As we go about building capability of the organization, building capability of the workforce, enabling our customers, partners, and other important stakeholders, we need to first enable ourselves. We need to make ourselves capable of not just reimagining the future for L&D, but also being able to make that future a reality. For that, we need some vital skills. I reached out to about more close to about 50 odd CEOs and business leaders in various organizations, and I asked them one question. I didn't ask this question to L&D practitioners. I asked this question to business leaders and asked them, what do you think are the most important skills for L&D practitioners for the future? And this is what I have consolidated basis all the inputs that I received. And there are 10 skills which I have called out, which are absolutely important. The business leaders believe that these skills are important for L&D practitioners, for them to become effective today and tomorrow. Empathy and love for people, influencing and persuasion skills, performance consulting skills, ability to cope with ambiguity, connect with next gen, millennials, creative thinking and innovation, understanding business ecosystem, using technology and digital platforms, machine learning, leveraging data analytics, learning analytics. These are the top 10 future skills for L&D practitioners. Absolutely critical, absolutely important for us to become successful, for us to reimagine L&D for the future. Friends, reimagining L&D is all about the right tools, the right skills, and the right mindset. It's all the three. If you just have one of them or two of them, it's not good enough. We need to have all the three. We need to have the right platforms, tools, and technologies. We need to have the right skills. Very importantly, we need to have the right mindset. We need to be prepared for the paradigm shift. We need to really be prepared to relook at our beliefs about the future, and all the three will make us successful. This is what I wanted to share with you today. And as all of you begin this journey, I would like to wish you all the best. I am sure together as a community, we can make a big difference and contribute to the industry and to the learning fraternity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Surya. Very, very insightful. And I see you have shared your email ID. Does that mean that learning design community members can write to you and take your counsel?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to hear from them.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. So there you go, guys. Surya's email ID is right here. His Twitter handle is right here. And if you want to follow him on YouTube, then this is how you can search for his channel. So go ahead and sign up for all these social media accounts of Surya and be in tune with where he's taking his organization and what his thoughts are. Surya, I would say very, very insightful presentation. Two pieces that I really loved from what you shared. First was the few skills that World Economic Forum has pointed out, and I want to get some sense with you now. With this inventory in place, does that mean that the L&D of the future, sorry, the competencies as we were defining them, they are going to take a hint from what the World Economic Forum is saying about the future skills?
Yes. So these are skills for 2020 and beyond. And these skills are also evolving. And I think they go back and then relook at the skills. I think very frequently, and then they announce which are the skills for the future that organizations and people need to watch out for. So the L&D community need to look at the skills, and I see this as an opportunity. When we look at new skills, we have opportunities to create new learning programs, new learning interventions. We need to first make sure that we acquire relevant expertise in those areas and then be ready to transfer knowledge to the workforce in organizations.
Fantastic. One other piece that's kind of coming to my mind, and Surya, I think you are the right candidate to ask that question, which is that most organizations have their competency matrix defined and competency defined in those, so to say, different words, which typically would have the same flavor from organization to organization, except for a few. But in the way that it's defined and in the way that it's called out, they are different. So, do you think that there now needs to be a global, a benchmark for how the competency should look like in every organization? And two, a big part of the new hire orientation always is to learn about the competencies in the organization. And typically, in my view, having spent more than decade and a half in different organizations, I feel the flavor remains the same in the way of what we expect from our workforce. So, do you think there is merit in advocating the idea that let's have these standard competencies, and you can choose which ones are most important for you? However, keep the competencies standardized.
Yes, there's definitely need for that. And I believe that some experts and some organizations have made an attempt to create that global dictionary of competencies.
Okay.
And then they keep evolving. And some of the new age companies, organizations, actually the front runners,
Mhm.
um, and probably other organizations follow them. But yes, I completely agree that as we evolve and as we all know that beyond COVID-19, the world is going to be very different. I think scholars, L&D experts, practitioners need to come together and really create that global dictionary of competencies. This is important because defining competencies is one thing, and then being able to translate that into action, being able to create content programs which can actually enable people to acquire those competencies is going to be crucial, and that's going to be the key differentiator.
Absolutely. I also saw in your presentation, Surya, you talked about the skills that the L&D fraternity will need to build up. And I was hearing you out, and you were talking through the skills. I see that there is a lot of a lot of emphasis on technology. So there is machine learning being called out as a skill of the future for L&D fraternity, as a whole. So, in your view, Surya, the good old training classroom clearly is on its way out. There is no question about that. But do you think that with all this gig economy coming in place and pay for work kind of structures that organizations will put in place, the HR or the L&D professionals' role is also up for grabs by the gig economy in the future?
Yes, definitely, it is up for grabs. There is no doubt about it. And yes, I think going back to the comment that you mentioned that technology features very strongly in that list. And interestingly, you would have noticed that in that list of competencies, nowhere have mentioned training skills, delivery skills,
Yep.
facilitation skills. They are
Yep.
given. You know, instructors, facilitator need to have those skills. We're not talking about those skills, but now we're talking about performance consulting, understanding the business ecosystem, using technology. Machine learning features there prominently because machines are going to be very important part of organizations. So you'll have the same workflow where part of the workflow will be managed by people, and parts of the workflow will be managed by machines. And so, well, while L&D traditionally has been helping people acquire skills, tomorrow we'll have to think about helping machines learn faster as well. But that's what machine learning is all about. So L&D has to play a role. I don't think we are there anywhere at that point in time. Yes, so in the gig economy, there will be plenty of L&D opportunities up for grabs. And then some of these will actually come from the new age worker who probably bring in a good knowledge of technology, maybe a reasonably good knowledge of the business ecosystem, and And then for certain specific roles and specific niche areas within the larger L&D function, we'll definitely need some people who can come in, add some value, then move on, and then probably play some other role elsewhere. But if you look at the L&D practitioners today, they may not become experts in all of these skills. So we'll require professionals, experts in some of these niche areas who can come and consult L&D, provide consultation to L&D function itself, work on assignments, projects, and complete that, and then move on and then do something elsewhere in some other function. We'll definitely see that happening in near future.
Fantastic. So, to all our viewers who are in the space of technology development or data and analytics, there is a clear call out by Surya that, the future will have a space for such consultants to come and help out the organizations, and organizations would be very excited, or it would be part of their mandate to make sure that, these things are ticked off. So one quick question, Surya, that you mentioned that the training delivery piece is taken. It's given or taken for granted, if I could use that. Now, is that so obvious that we don't find it in the list at all, and it's given to start with, or is it that the training function since the very beginning, or at least for the last 20 years, has been looked at as a function for people who can stand up and speak well, and then it has moved into the future skills. As I am reading, it's going into a whole new zone where the facilitation skills or delivery skills are not even making the list. So do you see that the L&D, the mindset of L&D towards their own profession also needs to evolve with this list in place now?
Yes, yes. So I think we always take pride in becoming stand-up instructors,
Absolutely.
and we have the knack of really mesmerizing our audience. But the fact of the matter is, now a lot of that is going to go away. I don't think classroom training, physical classroom training, is going to be a significant component of learning interventions in future. It will remain. It definitely not become extinct. It will definitely remain in some form or shape. But the important thing that we need to remember, and when a lot of L&D practitioners actually worry about the fact that classroom training is going to go away, I would like to tell them is the fact that the fundamentals of learning remains the same. So learning does not happen in a physical classroom. It does not happen in a virtual platform. It happens in the brain. So the brain assimilates or gathers information from the external world through the sense organs. We listen, we hear, we watch, we see things, and then we hear a sound. We assimilate, we gather all the information, we reflect on that information. What did I hear? What did I understand? Why did this happen? What could have happened differently? So that reflection helps us learn. And once we reflect, then we create our own ideas, our own concepts. We formulate our own beliefs, and then we test it out in the real world. So this process, the learning process, that happens in the brain. It doesn't happen in the classroom, or it can happen in the classroom. It can also happen in the virtual environment. It can happen elsewhere. So as facilitators, we have to become experts in engaging the learner in the learning process. We need to help them gather information, reflect on information they gather, create new hypotheses and new ideas, and test it out. Whichever environment it is, it doesn't matter. I think that's the switch has to happen. We need to transition to that. I think a lot of neuroscience of learning is going to become important. Why a learner is motivated to learn, why is learner is not interested in learning, why we remember facts and concepts, why we forget. I think understanding the neuroscience of learning is going to be extremely crucial in the new world. And I don't think the platform would matter, but what would matter is engagement, experience, and outcomes.
And I believe that's the reason you called out that the content developers of yesterday will need to now be the architects or designers of learning experiences more than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Surya, I would say very, very insightful presentation you made. A lot of good stuff out there that you shared with us, and I see some, a lot of relevance to what you're talking about. The vision that you have for the L&D, it is in line with where the world is going. So great stuff, Surya. Very excited to have you with us on this show. And with your email now being given out on this forum, you can expect to hear from some of our community members who will reach out to you.
Sure. I would love to engage in a dialogue. Thank you very much. Thank you, Aman, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Surya. Thank you so much. So, Surya, at this moment, I will call it a cut, and
Okay.
I will edit till this point. I know, sorry about the drama, but it really helps sitting down with all that audio looks like. Surya, one other thing I need from you, yeah, is we are
Yes.
getting all speakers to do a quick 1 minute session intro. Um,
Okay.
so I know it's difficult to get your time. So let me take the liberty of asking you if we can quickly do it right away. I have the recording on, so you will not need to come back to this.
Okay.
So very quickly, sir, I'll switch myself off. But before that, the way we can do this is that you could start off by saying, "Hi, my name is Surya Prakash Mohapatra, and I'm going to be presenting at the Learning Design Summit, and I'm going to be presenting on." And then talk about the industry trends, the what World Economic Forum, or whatever, howsoever you want to put it. And in that 1 minute monologue, the way we end it, we can say that okay, hope to catch you at the Learning Design Summit. So it's a way. It'll be my trailer for your session that I will, do
Okay.
the marketing around.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Go ahead, sir. Whenever you're ready, just let me know. I'll switch myself off. Let me do that right away.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. Let's go, sir.
Hi, I'm Surya Prakash Mohapatra. I'm going to be presenting at the Learning Design Summit on reimagining L&D for the new world. As all of you know that the whole industry, economy, and business are going through accelerated change and transformation. And this is the time where L&D really has to step back and imagine and figure out how their role is going to evolve for the future. So, with all the changes that are happening in the industry, the new trends that we're seeing at the workplace, it's very important that we need to relook at ourselves, our role, our delivery strategy, our deployment strategy. We really need to relook at the whole learning ecosystem and be ready ourselves to take charge and take the leadership role in anchoring organizations for the future. So, see you at the Learning Design Summit soon.
Perfect.
My phone started ringing. I hope it hasn't captured
No,
anything.
we try to do what we can with all the tools. But thank you so much, Surya. I think,
Was it okay?
sorry, go ahead, sir.
No, was the intro okay? Was it fine?
Yeah, it was fine. And what I'll do is
Okay,
I'll anyway get my guys to work on it and show it to me. And if there is any
sure,
glitch or I feel that, I will come back to you and we can quickly do
sure.
that if need be. But I
All
don't
right,
see the reason for that. Surya, thank
sure.
you so much. Yaar. It's already 9:10. Thank you so much for sticking on and completing the session with us. As a part of, I'm just calling it out. I know you will have your days packed, but I just want to share this with you that, we are trying to build this summit slightly differently. And two things that we are doing differently is we are calling it a co-created summit. So with which what we are doing is we are creating like an idea innovation platform that each speaker
Okay,
who's holding a masterclass or a mastermind will share with their peers in the sense their audiences, and they will give them ideas on what they want to kind of hear about or know more from you about. So one idea is that if you would want to kind of take this theme, which is the future of L&D and things like that, would it be all right if I reach out to you and invite you for a panel discussion on the same topic, or to do a mastermind session, which is basically a unscripted discussion, where the leader is a moderator for a discussion room, and people come in and they have unscripted style discussion by the way of, hey, I have this challenge, what do you have to say about that, or something like that. So do you think you'll be able to spare like an hour for either the panel discussion or a mastermind on the day of the summit, which I will reach out to you and check with you if that works for you?
I think if I remember correctly, you mentioned 28th, 29th is 28th, 29th August.
Yeah, so we are shifting it a little bit. I haven't announced the date. I'm just getting the part that gets me a little jittery, but around the.
I think once you confirm the dates, if you can let me know, I will check my availability. If there is no other engagement or customer meetings, etc., I think I would love to spare an hour. But I think once you confirm the dates, I'll be able to let
All
you
right,
know.
let me do that. Let me, as soon as we fix the date, I will reach out to you and we'll take it forward.
Sure.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
this is going to be in addition to. So I assume that this video will be played during the conference, the recording.
Yeah. So this will be a part of the keynote thing that will happen.